long, and there are so many ways to win with FanDuel. Their app is simple to use with unique and fun bet types, such as same-game parlays and exclusive always-on promotions, so you get more action out of every game day. New users sign up now for FanDuel Sportsbook with promo code Hennig to bet on the NBA Conference Finals at 30-1 odds. That's promo code Hennig exclusively on FanDuel Sportsbook's app. Must be 21 or to play and present in New Jersey, new users only. Must wager on designated offer market. $10 first deposit required. $150 max bonus. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is 97.3 ESPN, home of the Philadelphia 76ers.
Simmons pokes it away, steals it, sidesteps him and jams a two-hand throwdown.
WENJ HD Millville, Atlantic City. This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app. Now, live from the Matt Black Kia Studios.
What a move!
Here's Josh Hennig.
Thursday edition of Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app. And we are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, where you can watch the show. Just follow 97.3 ESPN. We have one slot locked in the NBA Finals. The Suns get the win, just like I told you here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN last night. Tonight, Bucks and Hawks. But who the heck is going to win that game? We're going to find out tonight. Giannis Antetokounmpo has been ruled out for the game. Trae Young, currently questionable. The Hawks are still hoping that he can play tonight. It's looking actually more likely that Trae Young plays than Clint Capella. So, a lot of moving parts today to get to with the NBA playoffs. Also, the latest on the Sixers offseason and Ben Simmons rumors at 6:20 today with NBA insider Brandon Scoopy Robinson joined us coming up at 6:20 here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Phillies game has been postponed tonight due to the weather out there. I hope if you're within earshot of my voice, you're staying safe. I've already been told by a couple people there are people who are out of power right now. So I hope you're being safe out there if you're driving, if you're traveling, whatever is going on. So please be safe. Please take care of yourself, whatever your circumstance or situation is. But the Phillies game has been postponed. It'll be made up on June 16th as a part of a doubleheader. So no Phillies action tonight. No Phillies to deal with tonight, which might be a good thing. They might need a day just to pull the plug because they DFA'd Neftali Feliz, which is an embarrassment he was even here in the first place. When the Phillies do get back to action, Brandon Kinsler will be back in the Phillies bullpen. So definitely an upgrade from Feliz to Kinsler at this point. So, by the way, a little update on Trae Young. Trae Young is now being called a game-time decision, according to reports. So, Trae Young, game-time decision. He's no longer questionable. So, there's a little update for you. We will keep you guys updated on the latest right here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. But I want to go back to last night first. Last night was awesome. I loved seeing what happened last night, which was Chris Paul finally got to the NBA Finals. You always want to see the best players in the finals. You want to see the best players play at the greatest levels, at the best situations. Listen, we all love an underdog here and there, but you also want to see the best players in the best games. And for me, when I look at Chris Paul, this is a guy who has been working his tail off for a long time to get to where he's getting to now. And I'm excited for his sake to see him at this level, have this opportunity to be great at the highest level. And this is a fun team in the Suns. But it's also a team that is a little bit lucky. The Suns, don't forget, went through the wilderness for many years. Don't forget, after they lost Amari Stoudemire in free agency, and after Steve Nash was gone, and after Mike D'Antoni was gone, they were bad for a bunch of years. And it took some luck for them to turn this around. Now, where did the luck start? Well, the luck started in their draft when they got Devin Booker. And the reason why the luck started there was because that was the first time that they drafted a player that could be a superstar, but they were very fortunate to get him. Devin Booker never started a game in college. Not one game. And he fell to them. So they were very fortunate to have that happen for them. Then they won the ping pong balls to get DeAndre Ayton. That's another domino to fall in their favor. Then the 76ers, who everyone in the Philadelphia area expected to keep Mikal Bridges, decided to trade him in a deal that has paid off major for the Suns. Their number 4 scorer on the year, one of their most clutch players offensively and defensively in the postseason. By the way, he's shooting 42% from 3. If Brett Brown and the Sixers front office cabal didn't trade him, they wouldn't have him. And how about Chris Paul? When Chris Paul was traded initially from Houston to OKC, everyone assumed that he was going to go somewhere else real quick. And there were a ton of teams. The Sixers were among the rumor mill. Lakers were in the rumor mill. Miami Heat were in the rumor mill for Chris Paul. There were even some rumors he might go back to Charlotte. Because he went from Wake Forest. He went to college Wake Forest. So there were a lot of rumors swirling around about Chris Paul and his future. But none of those deals happened. He ended up in Phoenix. So 4 different players who have been major parts of this team's success, who are the core of this team, all ended up in Phoenix. Not by any reason except for, you want to call it luck, you want to call it good fortune, you want to call it the roll, the dice, you want to call it fate, whatever you want to call it. The Suns ended up with a NBA Finals team because Devin Booker dropped to where he did. Don't forget, he never started a game in college. Didn't start one game. Drafted 13th overall. You know who did start games in college? Justice Winslow, Frank Kaminsky, Stanley Johnson, Willie Cauley-Stein, Jahlil Okafor. He's better than all of them. Didn't start a game in Kentucky. That's right. Didn't start a game. How about them apples? Oh, and by the way, don't forget, Devin Booker, it wasn't that he didn't start a game in college. He was not expected to be some great NBA player. It was only because John Calipari pushed for him. He was on the 38-1 team, whose starters included Aaron Harrison, Karl Anthony Towns, Andrew Harrison, Willie Cauley-Stein, and Trey Lyles. Trey Lyles picked ahead of Devin Booker as well. The Suns were fortunate to get Chris Paul. They were fortunate to get Devin Booker. They were fortunate the ping pong balls fell their way to get DeAndre Ayton. And they were fortunate the Sixers decided to trade Mikal Bridges to them. So you got to remember in sports, there's luck, there's fortune, there's fate that goes into this stuff. It's not just who's the smartest guy in the room. You can have all the smart guys in the room you want, but sometimes you just need things to go your way. Did anybody think that Chris Paul, when he was traded to OKC, was going to end up in Phoenix? No. Did anybody think that Monty Williams was going to have his greatest coaching job the last 2 years? Probably not. Did anybody really think that Devin Booker, after starting a game in college, is going to be a superstar? Nah. But sometimes that's the way it works. So for every time that you complain about, well, the Sixers didn't do this. Yeah, but the smart guys are not always the ones that win. It's the people who are in the right place at the right time. Nobody in 2015 thought that Devin Booker should have been a top 5 pick. But guess what? You would go back in time and pick him right now if you could. And nobody thought that Monty Williams was going to resurrect his coaching career after being absent from the NBA for years due to death in his family. But he has. And I don't think anybody thought that at age 35, turning 36, Chris Paul would turn back the hands of time and single-handedly outscore the Clippers in the second half of that game last night. But guess what? He did. And you know what? Now you have a Suns team that I think should win the NBA Finals, and I'm looking forward to see whatever team they play, the Hawks or the Bucks. We're going to find out more about the Hawks-Bucks game tonight. Scoopy Robinson, NBA Insider, joins us coming up at 8 minutes right here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Text board is open at 609-403-0973. To get on the conversation, let's go to 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app. It's free thanks to First Bank of Seattle City. We're also live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter where you can join in the conversation. Just like Jeff Bone and Pookie chiming in on the YouTube stream. We'll get to your guys' comments a little bit later, as we always do each and every night right here on 97.3 ESPN. We're live in the Matt Black Kia studios. Of course, Matt Black Kia will get you approved today. Matt Black Kia, Black Horse Bike, Egg Harbor Township. Visit them online, mattblackkia.com. Now, considering the game tonight, this whole situation with who's playing and who's not playing, I think is going to reveal to a lot of people who's made of what. I am not ever going to undersell a player's ability to step up when no one expects them to. What we saw from the Clippers to go 4-4 without Kawhi Leonard, so I'll never doubt the Bucks or the Hawks' ability to step up. I mean, Reggie Jackson, Terrence Mann, Paul George, all three of them had massive 8-game runs. And the Clippers were right there until the very end. Until the Suns decided to put their foot on the gas pedal and just blow them away the second half of that game last night. But they were there the rest of those two series. So, to me, I look at the Hawks and the Bucks, and I say, there's no reason why. None. No reason why Chris Middleton can't step up tonight. There's no reason why Drew Holiday can't wake up from his slumber tonight. But on the flip side, there's no reason why that Cam Reddish, who scored 12 points in that last game, doesn't go for more. He's a lottery pick, by the way. He's a high draft pick for the Hawks. What if he goes off? We know he's a phenomenal talent. So I will never doubt NBA players unless I have a reason to doubt them. But here's my biggest concern with this game tonight. Without Giannis on the court, if someone doesn't fill that attacking void, they are toast. They're done. The entire success of the Bucks is not just because of Giannis. It's because of Giannis's fearlessness when it comes to attacking the basket. You cannot have success at any level of sports if you're afraid to do what's necessary to win. Just like we complain about Ben Simmons, he's afraid of being humiliated. He's afraid of the embarrassment, all right? It's the fact that these players are not afraid, like Ben Simmons is, to go out there and get the job done. So to me, when I look at this game tonight, I'm curious to find out who steps up to get the job done. Looking forward to it. By the way, coverage begins at 8 o'clock right here on 97.3 ESPN FM. Don't forget, 97.3 ESPN mobile app for your Sixers, Phillies, Flyers, and Eagles coverage. No Phillies game tonight. Postponed due to the rainstorm that's passing through right now. We'll get more into the NBA Finals coming up next, right here. With NBA insider Brandon Scoopy Robinson. He joins Game Night coming up here as we're live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Keep the comments coming. We'll get to them later in the show. Text Sports 609-403-0973. Listen to 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. And, of course, we are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Like I said, just follow 97.3 ESPN.
The NBA playoffs continue. After dropping 2 straight, the Atlanta Hawks bounce back to tie the series with the Bucks up at 2. Now we return to Milwaukee for a pivotal Game 5.
Our group, the character of it will come through, and we're going home. It's 2-2. We're going back to Milwaukee.
Game 5 of the Bucks and Hawks. Coverage begins tonight at 8 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
The NBA playoffs exclusively on 97.3 ESPN FM, South Jersey's sports leader.
Listen up. If you've been watching the NBA playoffs from the sidelines, now is the perfect time to get on all the action with FanDuel Sportsbook. Because during the conference finals, new users get 30-1 odds on any team to win their next game. That means you can win $150 on a $5 bet. I've been betting basketball on FanDuel Sportsbook all season long, and there are so many ways to win with FanDuel. Their app is simple to use with unique and fun bet types, such as same-game parlays and exclusive always-on promotions, so you get more action out of every game day. New users sign up now for FanDuel Sportsbook with promo code Hennig to bet on the NBA Conference Finals at 30-1 odds. That's promo code Hennig exclusively on FanDuel Sportsbook's app. Must be 21 or to play and present in New Jersey, new users only. Must wager on designated offer market. $10 first deposit required. $150 max bonus. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
You asked for it. You got it. Fast Track Checkout at either Matt Blatt Kia location. Buy it your way. Complete your purchase online or have us deliver it during the Trade Up to a Kia sales event at Matt Blatt Kia in Egg Harbor Township or Tom's River. 0 money down and 0% financing for up to 60 months on every 2021 Kia Soul, Sportage, or Forte. Plus, we need your trade, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. Get out of that old car you hate with 0 down payment and 0% APR financing available for up to 60 months. Try Fast Track Checkout. Purchase completely online and have us deliver right to your home or office. Only at Matt Blatt Kia, where you can't make a mistake with our 4-day love it or leave it return policy.
It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
Offers with approved Tier 1 or 2 credit through Kia Motors Finance. Not all will qualify. 0% based on 1667 for 1,000 borrowed. Negative equity financed into new loan. Go to mattblattkianj.com for complete details. Expires 7/6/2021. Matt Blatt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township. And now on Route 37 in Tom's River.
You're listening to Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Josh Hennig here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. So after the Suns win last night, one slot in the NBA Finals is locked down. Who will be the next? Giannis, he's out. Trae Young, game time decision. What does all that mean? Well, we'll ask the man who knows best. All that and more right now. Joining us here on Game Night is NBA insider Brandon Scoop B Robinson at Scoop B on Twitter and Instagram. You can check out all of his work over at Bally Sports. My friend, how you doing today?
Staying dry. How are you, sir?
I am currently staying dry. As long as the storm passes before I leave tonight to go to the gym, I will be fine. So
I like the sound of it. Great minds think alike, brother.
So obviously, I want to start with what happened last night because I opened the show by saying that people spend so much time like who's smart, who's now comes to basketball. But you could argue this Suns team, they're very fortunate to have who and what they have. Devin Booker never started a game in college. Okay, Mikal Bridges should have been a Sixer, but the Sixers front office cabal traded him to the Suns. Nobody thought Chris Paul was going to end up in Phoenix until he actually did end up in Phoenix. And you could argue that Phoenix lucked out when the ping pong balls rolled their way, so they got DeAndre Ayton. So you could argue that the Suns, is it luck? Is it fortune? Is it fate? Whatever it is, the Suns are an amazing story.
They are, and you mentioned Michael Bridges and the Sixers almost getting them. This is the Philly market. You got to say Villanova's own Mikal Bridges.
That's right.
Of the Western Conference champion Phoenix Suns was shipped from the 76ers to Phoenix, and how sweet it is. He's part of the fold, and as I've been saying on a myriad of different shows, Michael Bridges is part of a perfectly made cake with the ingredients that included Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, and Chris Paul is simply the icing on top. This is a great story, and you don't leave out their head coach, who has been Monty Williams, who's, I think he spent some time in Philadelphia as well as a Sixer at some point briefly. But I think that they're just in a good situation. But even before Chris Paul arrived, I mean, that 41 points, again, is the icing last night. But they were a good team. He just took them another octave, and here we are now.
And they really needed that extra octave because I feel like every young team needs that veteran who can steer, who can show them, I've been there, I've done that. And if I remember correctly, Chris Paul single-handedly outscored the Clippers last night at one point. So it was like, he was just like, listen, I am not doing this again. I'm putting my foot on the gas pedal. I'm hitting the NOS button. I'm going the final quarter mile 110%. And I'm just so happy to see Chris Paul in the finals. I love this Suns team, and I'm excited to see what they can do in the next level.
Yeah, I am too. I think that it'll be interesting to see. If I had my druthers, I would like to see Phoenix Suns Atlanta Hawks matchup, just because I think this Hawks team is so new, but the Suns team in a lot of respects is so new also. This is not a Warriors finals. This isn't a LeBron James, Lakers, Miami Heat, Cleveland Cavaliers finals. This isn't this to me, this is like 94, 95. This is Knicks, Rockets, Knicks, or rather Rockets, Orlando Magic. It's a different team. And the last time the Bucks made it to the finals, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was Lou Alcindor. Right. And I believe that the last time the Hawks won a finals, it was in 52 when it was the St. Louis Hawks. And the Suns haven't been to the finals since 93. And Michael Jordan and the Bulls shellacked Charles Barkley 4-2 in that series. And it's great for my network at Bally. All 4 teams, or now 3 teams currently playing, are all Bally Sports Network teams. And, it's good for everybody all the way around.
I hear you. Well, let's get into those Bucks and Hawks games tonight. Coverage begins here on ESPN Radio on 97.3 ESPN at 8 p.m. tonight, of course, for those of you listening on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. By the way, at Scoop B on Twitter and Instagram for all of your NBA coverage. Joining us here on Game Night. No Giannis tonight. Now, the good news is no ligament tears. He's going to be okay overall. But at least for tonight, if you had to put your finger and say, if this guy steps up, the Bucks can win, who is that guy tonight?
Chris Middleton. It's going to be a combination of Chris Middleton. They still have 2 guys left in their big 3. And that it'll be Chris Middleton, as I penned a piece at Ballard the other day where I discussed, essentially that Chris Middleton played like Michael Jordan the other night. Of course, when he took over, I think he scored 20 points in the fourth quarter. I think you're going to actually see a Chris Middleton that played like himself in round 1 of the playoffs last year against the Miami Heat, where they took a game or 2, and you're going to need that and more against an Atlanta team. Because here's the thing, Atlanta has proven that they can win without Trae Young. They did it in Game 4, and they were up 10 points before Giannis got hurt. Now you're in a situation where it's heightened, and they're in a situation where Milwaukee has to put up or shut up. And you're sad to see Giannis' situation, but I think that the storyline for the playoffs this year has simply been battle of the fittest, and that's what it is at this point.
Let me dig a little deeper with you with the Bucks here for a moment. Someone made a comment the other day, and I wish I could remember off the top of my head who exactly said it. But they made the comment that max contracts are no longer for max players. And that, obviously we know how talented Middleton is. But if he doesn't step up tonight, there's going to be a little bit of that, little designation above his head, right? If Drew Holiday didn't step up tonight, people are going to wonder, was he just only good in New Orleans? They could use him tonight. Is there something to be said with the fact that we are in a world now where the contract of the player does not always reflect the talent of the player anymore?
I don't think that's new. I think many sports fans looked at Juwan Howard in that regard at points when he was playing for the Washington Bullets, and people, I think it was like 100, 120 million, and people were upset there. I think when you look at the Knicks faithful, they were upset that Allen Houston hurt his knee, and then he never really came back the same that he was when he signed that deal. He got that deal with the Knicks after leaving Detroit. And I just think over time, I think people are looking for Kevin Garnett results where, players are loyal forever and death to do us part. And he ended up partying and going to Boston and winning a championship. So to send her right back to what you're asking me, yeah, I think there's a criticism, but I also think that nobody expected Milwaukee to beat the Brooklyn Nets in round 2. So the fact that they've gotten this far on fumes is a miracle. They were calling for Mike Budenholzer's job simply because it seemed to be business as usual. But this is what I take from just the whole dichotomy of Milwaukee as a whole this year. When you look at the Bucks this season, they played in an Eastern Conference where Philadelphia and Brooklyn was expected to represent the East. And I think that people's expectations for the Bucks dwindled simply because they lost faith in Giannis in the playoffs last year. He was hurt, and then there was questions about just his durability, and even myself making comparisons to LeBron's first stint in Cleveland, where he couldn't get it done. And he kind of in real time you saw his flaws against a Miami team that was just simply hungry. So I think those expectations for the Bucks weren't as high, and so many people paid attention to Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris on the Philly side, and on this side of the Hudson, the Nets with the big three of Kyrie, KD, and James Harden. So I think that the Bucks are kind of in a situation where anything extra is golden, and so I think they exceeded those expectations, but so did the Hawks. I mean, this is a team, Josh, that fired their coach, hired Nate McMillan, and Nate McMillan made Trae Young play defense. You brought in Lou Williams at the trading deadline. Lemon Pepper Lou was the unsung hero in Game 4, and I don't know what it is. He's a native of Gwinnett County, Georgia, and it's something in the water there, or something in the recipe for lemon pepper wings. But he's doing his thing, man. You gotta credit him. Both teams played hard, as Rasheed Wallace would say.
Yeah, and I'm seeing a report actually that Lloyd Pierce is going to be joining Rick Carlisle's staff over in Indiana. That's an interesting pairing right there, to say the least. But anyway, I'll move on from that fiasco. I'm sorry. I think the whole situation in Indiana is a joke, honestly. But that's just a side conversation.
No, it's even their interview process last year was interesting. Just from what I was told. What'd you say?
That's a nice way of putting it. Interesting.
Well, I mean, Kevin Pritchard is in a situation where, from everything I've been told, where the owner is very involved in that hiring process. And they hired Bjornsson last year, and they had some other viable candidates, but ultimately a lot of people who interviewed for that position, I'm told, withdrew their name just because they felt uncomfortable. And that's a far cry from. Think about it, right? Nick McMillan was the head coach of the Indiana Pacers last year. They let him go. He became an assistant coach on Lloyd Pierce's staff. The Hawks fired Lloyd Pierce, and then Lloyd Pierce becomes an assistant coach for the team that his replacement coached for last year. That's crazy.
It is crazy. I just only in the NBA, right? Only in.
Only
you couldn't write this into like some some show on the CW, for goodness sake. It wouldn't happen. Yeah,
only CW.
Let's get back to the Hawks here. I want to ask you: is could potentially the secret weapon for the Hawks be the man who played very well the other night, Cam Reddish?
Could be. I think it's a combination of Killer Cam. It's a combination of John Collins, who, Chris Paul talked about DeAndre Ayton getting a bag this summer. John Collins is going to get a bag this summer. He saved or kind of sealed the deal in Game 1 for Atlanta in that win. And I think I also think it's going to be a collaborative effort. Listen, in my opinion, the Hawks are not that much better than Milwaukee, but they're better coached. Mm. And I think that's what happened in the series against the 76ers. The Hawks were not better than the Sixers. They were better coached. Mm. And that's all I have to say about that. I think it's a collaborative effort. I think Clint Capella thinking he's Larry Bird, John Collins sealing the deal there, Cam Reddish stepping it up, and also Bogdan Bogdanovic and Danilo Gallinari, who needs to answer my calls, by the way. But ultimately, I think that when it comes down to it, it's a collaborative effort. They're better coached, and let the best team win. I'd like to see the Hawks take it to the next level.
NBA insider Brandon Scoop B Robinson joining us here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN, at Scoop B on Instagram and Twitter for all your NBA coverage and analysis. Check out his work over at Bally's Sports. Well, you opened the door there for me, so I got to ask this question. There's a lot of people out there who are blaming, though, Doc Rivers for the Sixers' loss in the last series. And you just said that the Hawks, they outcoached Sixers. So is that Doc Rivers' fault? Is that his triumvirate of all these big name coaches' fault? How do you delineate the responsibility of Doc Rivers and his staff then?
It's not just experts saying it. Players are saying it too. Players on that team are saying it.
So is Doc an overrated coach? Is Doc just, did he have a bad day at the office?
I won't bash Doc, but I will say that I have heard it said that there are some players who asked what's the difference between Doc and Brett Brown. Like, players on that current team, like there's a level of frustration. And I think that it comes down to, if Joel is your guy, how do you balance that attack? I mean, I've heard it where, there's guys who have said, well, he just stands on the perimeter and people just stand around and just watch him freelance for hire. And that's it. Like, there's a level of frustration. It's almost like he's a big man version of Allen Iverson, standing around, jab stepping, crossing over, getting to the cut, while all the other 4 guys on the team stand around and, are figuring out what their role is in the playoffs. And I feel like they ran out of gas because Seth Curry couldn't stick Trae Young. And ultimately, Tobias Harris had an off game. Ben Simmons had an off game. And, there are people who have marveled at Embiid's healing properties in his body in order to do well, but he can't do it by himself. So I just think that as it relates to Doc can't dribble the basketball. I'm trying to cover all grounds. I don't think it's a level of the players not responding to Doc. I just think that Atlanta was better coached and caught a lot of folks by surprise by how good they were. I kind of feel like we just had this notion that we were just going to lay on the operating table and it was going to be Brooklyn, Philadelphia in the conference finals with no work put in. And they got comfortable. I don't think Brooklyn got comfortable. I think Philly got comfortable. And it started from that game 1 against Atlanta. Inexcusable. And to come back and to fall short, I also think it comes down to Danny Green's injury. Like, I think had he been healthy, it would have been more of a series. I like Danny's game. I like his veteran leadership. I think for Philadelphia, he's Philly's version of what Lou Williams is for Atlanta, not as far as style of play, just as far as voice of reason and as far as just having been there and being able to guide that team in that regard. I think in some respects, that veteran leadership role that he has is everything that many people thought Al Horford would have been for Philadelphia, so to speak. But I want to see Philly run it back. Like, as much as I may, criticize or, share my knowledge of what I've heard, ultimately, I'd like to see them run it back, just like I'd like to see Brooklyn run it back. But, you have to you got to let those things take its course and, see what Elton as well as what the rest of the brain trust is going to do this offseason.
Yeah, and honestly, you have to criticize them because some of those performances in those games with the turnovers and other things are just inexcusable. 2 more for you before I let you go. Brandon Scoopy Robinson, NBA Insider, joining us here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Now, with that all being said, I have to wonder, though, how much is people want to blame Doc, but I got to blame the players, too, because at some point, as a professional athlete, you got to take responsibility for your own actions, right? And I go back to, and this is still stuck in my head, and I'll never let go of this until someone convinces me otherwise. Before Kobe Bryant was taken from this earth, the final detail he ever did on ESPN Plus was on the 76ers. And he spent about 10 of those 14 minutes eviscerating those players. Like, literally just saying they don't have good basketball IQ, they don't understand fundamental basketball, they're jumping off the wrong feet. Like, if anybody hasn't seen the Kobe detail in the Sixers, you have to watch it. I have to ask the question, we can blame the coach all we want, but at some point, don't the players have to take responsibility on them to become better and play better? Because they're the one, as you said, they're the one dribbling the ball and not Doc.
Yes, definitely. They put the points on the board. They are responsible for getting to the next level. I mean, this is twice that the Sixers have had championship dreams in the last 3 years, and they've fallen by the wayside. 2019, Kawhi Leonard in that shot, and then in 2021 against Game 7 against Atlanta. And it's quite possible Philly could have came into a situation playing against a hobbled Milwaukee Bucks and going to the finals and playing against the Phoenix Suns. So it's unfortunate. You hold them accountable, but I kind of, I take it back a little further. Like, there are people who blame Philly for drafting Markelle Fultz instead of Jason Tatum. There are folks who, look at that whole Colangelo situation, which, then brought Elton Brand in. And, I will always respect that man. But I also think that, the Jimmy Butler situation, as far as him staying, was disappointing because he and Brett Brown did not get along. They did not see eye to eye. And in a scramble, the Sixers and Elton had to, find a way to patch that up. JJ Redick left. It came down to, re-signing Tobias Harris to that $142 million deal. And then signing Al Horford in the 25th hour for a Boston Celtics team who did not want to pay him the money that he ended up getting now. And now he's traded back to Boston and he's getting the money he wanted to stay with the team he wanted to be with in the first place. So, I think when it's all said and done, though, the Eastern Conference has gotten that much better. Philly is Philly. Brooklyn is Brooklyn. Now you got Atlanta. Now you got Milwaukee. I'm sure Miami's going to retool this summer. And, it's going to be interesting.
Before I let you go, I can't not talk to you without mentioning the man we haven't talked about much, Ben Simmons. What do you think, in your educated, informed opinion? Not you're reporting anything. This is just, do you think Ben Simmons is going to be a Sixer next year? And if he is going to be a Sixer, is he going to grow into the player that everyone hopes he's going to be?
I think he's going to be a Sixer next year. I think he becomes a Sixer, or I think he remains in Philadelphia if they don't get the deal that they want. I know that the 76ers are putting out that they're retaining Ben Simmons, but I think if the right offer comes along, I think that they do make a move. I don't think that they're going to make a move with Brooklyn for Kyrie Irving. I don't think that it's going to – I think it's going to come down to, number one, seeing what the market is with the Golden State Warriors as it relates to, things that I have reported. I think they're going to look at the market in Portland and see if Portland's interest in moving C.J. McCollum is doable as well as draft picks. But I think ultimately, if Ben Simmons stays in Philadelphia, I think that they need to add some added pieces to complement him. I think he needs to strictly move off the basketball like LeBron did in his first couple of years in Miami. And I think that he is a scorer that can get to the basket and create any shot. I think that there's a pressure that comes along with in today's NBA of being a jump shooter that in 90s NBA culture wasn't there. I don't think you have to be a jump shooter to win championships as a point guard. But I do think that when people magnify the fact that he went to the basket and passed up on a wide open layup or dunk, and that's video that people play over and over and over again, it's almost like people fetishize about his ability or lack thereof of shooting jumpers and scoring at will. And I think in part that's something psychological that I think he has to figure out. I have a friend who is a clinical psychologist, and he said that he texted me and he said, there are such things as having a psychologist that can walk you through those processes and, right, figure out what it is that, you want to do. I want to give a shout out to my friend, John Granger. So if Ben is listening, he should, reach out to my guy, John Granger, and get some consulting in that regard. But I think ultimately, I think Ben stays if Philadelphia can't get something of equal value. And I think that the Warriors, as well as the Portland Trailblazers, are prime candidates.
For more NBA insight, analysis, and reporting, Scoop B on Instagram and Twitter is where you go for all your NBA coverage. At Scoop B on Instagram and Twitter. He is Brandon Scoop B Robinson, NBA insider, working with Bally Sports as all guests. He joined us right here on GameNight on 97.3 ESPN and on 97.3 ESPN mobile app and Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. My friend, I appreciate you jumping on in the conversation.
You know what I'm going to say next, right?
Thank you for letting me be myself.
Thank you for the opportunity, as always, for allowing me to be myself.
I appreciate it, man. Take care of yourself.
My man, I'll talk to you soon.
Josh Hennig here on GameNight on 97.3 ESPN. We'll wrap up the show coming up next. your thoughts and comments. 609-403-0973 is the text port, and we are live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Drop the comments in the stream, just like Jeff Bone and Pookie did a little bit earlier in the show. We hear from you guys before we wrap up the show right here on 97.3 ESPN. Don't forget, yes, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app for your Phillies, Sixers, Eagles, Flyers coverage right there on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app.
The NBA playoffs continue. After dropping 2 straight, the Atlanta Hawks bounce back to tie the series with the Bucks up at 2. Now we return to Milwaukee for a pivotal Game 5.
Our group, the character of it will come through, and we're going home. It's 2-2. We're going back to Milwaukee.
Game 5 of the Bucks and Hawks. Coverage begins tonight at 8 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
The NBA playoffs exclusively on 97.3 ESPN FM, South Jersey's sports leader. Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Wrapping up the show here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Hope everyone's staying safe out there. The weather is still nasty out there. The thunderstorm warning is still in effect till 7 p.m. There's a thunderstorm watch until 8 p.m. tonight in South Jersey. So please stay safe. Please take care of yourself. You have to go. If you're currently driving or going somewhere, please take your time. I know some people are without power right now. Last time I just checked, it looks like that a lot of that power is supposed to be restored sometime between 8 p.m. and 9 p.m. tonight, if you believe the reports. So a little update for everybody out there. Again, please stay safe. Josh Hennig here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN tonight. Coming at 8 o'clock, Bucks versus Hawks. Coverage of that game begins at 8 p.m. tonight. Trae Young is still a game time decision. Actually, no, I have an update. A little breaking update here. Malika Andrews is reporting with Adrian Wojnarowski. Trae Young is out for Game 5 tonight. Young will continue to rehab in hopes of playing in Game 6 on Saturday, but he has been ruled out. So no Giannis, no Trae Young tonight. They are both out of here. They're not playing. That makes things very interesting because the first game without Trae Young, the Hawks controlled the game from beginning to end. And that was with Giannis on the floor for 3 quarters. Now, what does the game look like? Do the Bucks make a major adjustment from the last game to this game? I'm curious to see what happens. Can Middleton and Holiday step up and get the job done? Or will the Hawks take control of this series 3-2? I have to believe that if Middleton and Holiday have any professional pride, that they have to go out there and win this game tonight. You have 2 all-stars, 2 max players on your team. On paper, the Bucks without Giannis and the Hawks without Trae Young should still beat the Hawks. Milwaukee is the better team. They're at home. On paper, everything's pointing toward them. Telling you, man, this is going to be a fascinating game tonight. I'm looking forward to it. 609-403-0973 is text board on the conversation. A little bit earlier, Jeff Bone and Pookie chimed in and says, Chris Paul reminding everyone last night who he is. He really was, because to me, Chris Paul he's a future Hall of Famer. And I know everyone's debating, is he top 5 point guard all the time, all that kind of jazz. I'm not going to get in that debate at this moment. But what I am going to lay out for you is this. You look back on Chris Paul's career and you realize that he is easily not just the best player in his draft class, but he may be one of the 5 to 10 best players of the last 20 years. Because you think about the last 20 years of players who were drafted. LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, Carmelo Anthony, Steph Curry, Luka Doncic, Trae Young. There's a lot of talented players in the NBA, right? There's a lot of great talent players. Damian Lillard. But Chris Paul could make an argument that he is one of the premier players of this generation. And I know we're coming up on the 75th anniversary of the NBA, and the NBA loves to come out with their top 50, top 75 players of all time. To me, Chris Paul has to be on the top 75 list. He has had a career that has proven himself to be one of the best at his position, one of the best on the court. The dude's 11-time All-Star, 6-time Steel Champion, 10-time All-NBA, 4-time assist leader, 9-time All-Defensive Player. He was the Rookie of the Year, an All-Star Game MVP. His resume is, bar none, one of the most exceptional in the league. And him getting to the NBA Finals has a little bit of a Peyton Manning feel. That almost like he's finally getting over the hump. He's finally getting his opportunity. And I just don't think he's going to waste it. If you were asking me right now, it doesn't matter if it's the Hawks or the Bucks. Going to the NBA Finals, I think the favorite should be the Suns. They're going to be well rested. They're going to be good to go. Booker will be able to heal up his face. Paul can make sure he's completely healthy. That team is going to be raring to go because this is a moment for them that they do not want to let go of. I think they're serious. I think they're focused. And considering the injuries to Giannis and Trey in the Eastern Conference, you have to think that the Suns should be the favorite in the NBA Finals, which will begin next week. Hear all the action right here on 97.3 ESPN FM. I'm not ignoring it, but one thing that Scoopy said, I think it stood out to me, was he has heard that people felt that the Hawks coaches outcoached the Sixers coaches. But then he also said that there's questions about what is really the difference between the Sixers under Brett Brown and the Sixers under Doc Rivers because of how Joel Embiid plays. And as I said to him, and I'll say it to you guys again, you've heard me say this before. If anybody watched the detail by Kobe Bryant, his last detail on ESPN+, he spent 10 of those 14 minutes just eviscerating the Sixers. Just completely annihilating them. I think it's very important to keep in mind because you either have good basketball IQ or you don't. And for all the people who complain about Ben Simmons and his play, I ask you, if Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, and the other players played with better basketball awareness, do you think they really lose that series? If Kobe Bryant could see a couple years ago, we shouldn't ignore that reality. And the reality is that these Sixers players, as currently constructed, may not have the prerequisite basketball intelligence to get the job done. Now, can they become smarter? Can they get better? Yes, they can. But for you to blow that many leads and lose that many games at home to the Atlanta Hawks, it's a horrible look. They all look at themselves in the mirror and question themselves. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night. I'll catch you tomorrow.
Health Update with Robin Stoloff. Learn more, live better.
Want to improve your brain function? Do a cardio workout. One study found that after one treadmill session, exercisers learn new words 20% faster. Why? Because getting your heart pumping delivers more oxygen to your brain, and that stimulates new growth in the areas that control multitasking, memory, and planning. Another way exercise can transform your life, you'll be happier at work. According to the University of Bristol, on days when workers participated in an on-site fitness session, they reported thinking more clearly, getting more done, and having better relationships with their coworkers. So there you go. In addition to being healthier, exercise can make us happier and even smarter. I'm Robin Stoloff for Health Update.
Health Update with Robin Stoloff, empowering you to live a healthier life.
We've all had that dream tie game, bottom of the ninth, bases loaded. Well, on FanDuel Sportsbook, you get more than one shot to swing for the fences because FanDuel is letting you place your first bet risk-free. That's right. New users get up to $1,000 back in site credit if your first bet doesn't win. There's a reason why FanDuel Sportsbook is America's #1 sportsbook. They've got great odds in all different types of betting markets with unique and fun bet types like same-game parlays and always-on promotions to let you get more action out of every game day. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app and sign up with my promo code Hennig to get in on all the action and your first bet risk-free up to $1,000. That's promo code Hennig with FanDuel Sportsbook. Must be 21 to order, play, and present NJRPA. First online real money wager only for risk-free bet. Refund issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 7 days. Restrictions apply. See sportsbook.fanduel.com for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.